All right, I'm going to hit screen share right now.
Right? Meow.
So, how many episodes did Power Rangers Zeo have? 50. Wow.
Hot damn. We
All
made it to
right.
the halfway mark.
All right. So one random number between 1 and 50 and go Zeo Rangers. 40.
It's a good number.
It's a good number. The joke's on Blue. There's a new student at Angel Grove, as well as two detectives that intend to replace Bulk and Skull. Practical jokes run rampant, and it seems no one is safe, so Bulk and Skull and their competition are hired to find the culprits. Meanwhile, on the moon, Zed and Rita exile Rito and Goldar out of their mobile base.
Well, that sounds wacky enough to be Power Rangers. Wow, what the fuck? I can't even imagine what this. I can kind of imagine. It just feels like a lot's going on in that episode.
It does. It also doesn't seem very Tommy centric. So, you know what? I'm going to re-roll. Breaking the rules.
Where it stops, nobody knows.
21.
Lucky 21. Go, Tommy Rangers. Brother!
Brother, can you spare an arrowhead?
There we go. Look at this.
Tommy. Okay, so Tommy is literally the first thing mentioned in this description. So here we go. Tommy must find a way to rescue his brother from a cave of evil spirits. So while the other Rangers must battle Mace Face. Once Mace Face is destroyed, the Rangers must help in defeating the evil spirit
Autochthon.
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 Okay, that is a
Autochthon.
Autochthon. I need ketchup. Autochthon. I need mustard. Mustard? Tommy? That's right. Why mustard?
No questions, damn it. Rangers. Welcome back to the LaserComb Podcast, the show where we comb through random episodes of classic TV with a fine-tooth laser. I am the Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal, your other host.
And this is episode 53? 53 of the LaserComb Podcast.
Something. Yeah.
50 cent.
50. It's about tree fitties. And yeah, we're mixing it up. It's a little different.
We're mixing it up. On the last episode of the LaserComb Podcast, we had said that we were going to be reviewing episode 4 of Manimal, which we will be doing on the next episode. But the unfortunate and tragic news came out at the time of recording a mere 2 days ago that Jason David Frank, the original Green Power Ranger, and then the White Ranger, and then the Red Zeo Ranger.
It's a little bit of everything, you know. He's a
little,
White Ranger.
Little bit of everything. The
iconic Power Ranger actor.
Quite literally the most iconic Power Rangers actor. He passed away at the age of 49. Initial reports seemed to indicate that it was suicide, which someone texted on Sunday morning. Someone texted me the article, and I quite literally dropped my phone when I saw the headline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've always been a fan.
I have.
And
yeah.
Indeed, you've even you've met him. You've got him to sign some Green Ranger paraphernalia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, actually,
paraphernalia.
You know what? I didn't think about this prior to recording, but I'm actually going to grab
Just
something.
grab it. Just grab it. He's going, people. He's
Just grab it.
disappearing into the Siegeverse as we speak. Yeah, I don't know why I never even thought about bringing this up before, but if you go to the Discord, you can you can find can't remember who he was. I think he was Tommy Wiseau. Like I think he was at a con, Siege, and he
Coming
was
back
cosplaying.
into camera.
He's coming back. He's fading back into the LaserComb verse. There he is. You faded into the laser comb verse, and you've come back to reality. But I was just saying, in case I was just talking to myself there, that you had met him at a convention, and if I'm not mistaken, the first time was when you were cosplaying Tommy Wiseau.
Yes, indeed. I met Jason David Frank at Fan Expo Vancouver
That's
in
what it was.
2018. Yeah. I was cosplaying as Tommy Wiseau, Johnny from The Room.
Which I
Uh,
actually think is probably the best cosplay I've ever seen of Tommy Wiseau. Like,
yeah.
you had told
Thank
me
you.
that there were people that thought like maybe you were Tommy.
Yeah, there was this group of like four dudes who like straight up like tapped me on the back of the shoulder as I was walking around, and they're like Tommy, is that you? Like they actually at first thought that I was Tommy Wiseau.
And it's just like, well, as amusing as that would be, that Tommy Wiseau would be wearing the same outfit as he was in the room, walking around with a football.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
you're
yeah, yeah, that's the thing too. Is like I was carrying around a football. I was wearing an oversized suit jacket, a like V-neck like black t-shirt. I went very screen accurate. V-neck black t like very tight fitting t-shirt, beige cargo pants, dress shoes. Like I went the full nine with it. Um
and yeah, you even got a picture with with another Tommy.
Another Tommy.
I never
Yeah,
even thought about that.
yeah.
The Tommy picture, yeah. And
Yeah, I got a photo with Jason David Frank. I've met not this isn't like a flex or anything like that, but like I've met a number of famous people over the years. Especially a lot of people from metal bands.
yeah, I was gonna say like bands backstage or conventions, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like I've met Jason Momoa.
Oh, cool.
Meeting Jason David Frank was literally the first time I ever felt like nervous or starstruck in any way. Like
Yeah, because that was more like hell, even before you had met him, like you had like a Green Ranger like outfit and oh, did he actually? Oh, there we go, folks. Green screening effects kind of messing with him, but he's got the dagger.
got the dagger. It
It probably makes
makes
sounds.
it does. The batteries are dying in it though. I got this as a gift from my former partner. Oh, here we go. I don't know if those are coming
It
through.
looks like it actually looks pretty accurate to the show too.
Yeah, it's hefty too. Like this thing is adult sized, and it's like it has weight to it.
Yeah, and it's fair to say that as far as like TV like goes, that's probably one of the more impactful actors you could have met as far as your childhood
Yeah,
goes.
yeah. Jason David Frank was a one of my childhood heroes. I was legitimately like busted up on Sunday after finding out that he died, especially the method of death, like suicide. Like I uh, have my own personal history with suicide, so it struck me especially hard. Um, but yeah, so I met him back in 2018. Was very nervous, very starstruck. I all I said to him was I was like like literally shaking and dressed as Tommy Wiseau at my I was literally shaking.
Amazing first impression.
And I was like big fan. You were one of my childhood heroes. Watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back in the day from literally like the day the first episode originally aired. Um which I did.
And he
And
was like, "Get away from me, kid! You bother me." No,
yeah, yeah, we
all
we we
all reports, and the little interviews I've seen, like with him or whatever, he seems genuinely like uh, lovable to the fans of the fandom and his work, and
very much so. And by all
Also, he
accounts,
was in really
he
good shape. Like in the
uh,
pictures I've been like seeing, I'm like, holy shits! Like someone kept his up with his martial arts.
oh yeah, he
That guy
was
never stopped fighting putties. I was
he was
shocked to
he
learn
was
how
doing
old he was.
MMA and shit like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I was like, holy shit! I thought he was like 5 years older than me.
Yeah, 49.
Not 15. Yeah,
Um and yeah, by all accounts, like he was genuinely like a good person. Like, and it's kind of rare in this day and age, but like he was a guy who like no reports of him like being like shitty or like doing
shout
something
out to
like
the
really
comments who, when inevitably somebody spends 20 minutes looking for something the guy did, like in college or high school.
by all accounts, like nothing ever came out that depicted him as doing something like truly like skeevy or shitty in his past, which is
Truly a rarity.
truly a rarity, especially in this day and age. Um, but yeah, he was my one of my childhood heroes. He was the childhood hero to literally an entire generation of people who
Well, I
grew
mean,
up in the
yeah,
90s.
Ranger 64 is younger than us. Um, and like our fandom over, even though he's younger, our fandom overlaps like so much. Like, didn't he have a picture with?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Uh,
Shout out to Ranger 64.
I can't remember what convention that was though.
Yeah, I can't remember either. He was
I can't remember either.
Ra-
But like right after you posted yours, right? He posted
Ranger
his.
was wearing the shirt that he was wearing in that photo. I
Oh,
have that exact same shirt. It's a
yeah,
Cody Rhodes American Nightmare t-shirt.
yeah. So you know what though, it's kind of nice. Yeah, because like we've got like what, five patrons, but the Ranger's one of the
It's
ones that
more than that,
interact.
but yeah.
It's one of the Ranger's one of the ones that interact with us like almost daily or whatever. So it was kind of nice that you had somebody who so closely could share kind of like in your grief
Hmm.
when I always forget the middle, JDF.
Yeah.
I just noticed the fans all just call him JDF, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone calls him JDF.
well, it's awkward because it's like what, Jason? Everybody's named Jason, right? So if you're if you can have three initials, you make an impact. But yeah, it was kind of nice that like somebody else could be like as impacted by that, because it always feels like you're kind of like left in the dark when like somebody you like and yeah, it's celebrity worship to an extent. I'm not going to get into that, blah blah blah, but it's
Yeah,
okay for
yeah.
people to be sad when writers, actors, whatever impact their life or contributed to society in a measurable way,
The
right?
I
So I don't think anything's like wrong with being like, holy shit, wow, especially when they're taken before their time, right? It always hits harder.
yeah, I mean, he was only 49 and like
Yeah, it's not like
he died
in
by suicide.
89 in his
Like,
in his
yeah.
sleep, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like guy was 12 years older than I am. Like, um I think the first celebrity, or no, definitely the first celebrity passing that actually like truly got me was back in 2014 when Harold Ramis, Egon in Ghostbusters, when
I
he passed
I
away.
was wondering, I was like, is this gonna be Egon?
Yeah, that was the first one because like I, much like a lot of people my age, I absolutely adored Ghostbusters growing up. Like, going back as far as I can remember was watching Ghostbusters on fucking Betamax as a little kid. That
Yeah,
was that was the
that
first one that
sucked
actually
too.
got me.
The first one was Heath
But
Ledger.
he, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think I was like, fuck, like I
that
know
was
he made a
shocking
big
back.
impact.
That was shock, and he was only 28 too. which is crazy
In
to
my
think
head,
about.
it's and we were younger than was I younger and you were fucking how old? I
I was
was
20.
younger, but you were.
I was 23 at the time, so he was only 5 years older
That's right, and I would
than
have
I
been like
am,
20.
or
Wow.
than I was.
So that one was like, oh shit, and it's easy to go, oh yeah, Dark Knight, and we reference Dark Knight all the time, right? But like my
We did in
cousins
the
and I,
preamble
we
to
did
this
in the
episode.
preamble. Memes and Dark Knight references, folks.
Yep.
But like my cousins and I watched like A Knight's Tale.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
that's
fucking
going back
that's going back. And
20
it
years
has
now.
who's the blonde guy, that actor in it, who ends up playing oh, what is
Uh,
it, Vision?
Paul Bettany.
Um, or
Yeah, it's
is it
Paul
Paul?
Bettany.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen A Knight's Tale, folks. Um, but like growing up and like watching that like many times, many, it's you know how like 12, 13 year olds are, how they watch the same shit like over and over and over again.
Yep.
Um, that's how it was. So like A Knight's Tale, I remember being like, holy shit. Like, wow, good for who was in Brokeback Mountain? Ledger and
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal. Being like, holy shit. And you know what's funny? I had no idea what it was about. I walked in being like, oh cool, cowboy movie. With like a group of other like people who like went to go watch it, except I think they knew. It's just some uh LGBTQ plus adjacent like people, right? And I went, and I
Right.
guess I should have just known, right? It was like, oh, why is it specifically all my queer friends that are like going to go watch it with me? And it's like, oh, okay, cool. But like for me, it's an experience. I want to go with friends.
Yeah.
Like I remember going with three friends to see what was that stupid sci-fi Jumanji movie? Xanth. It was like Jumanji in space. Uh,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Jumanji in space. Zathura.
Oh, oh,
He's a,
right, right, yeah, yeah.
couldn't even remember. I went and saw that with like four people, and we were all like, "Fuck, that was bad. That was for 10-year-olds. What were we thinking?" Right? So it doesn't matter. Like for me, it's money well spent. What, $12 at the time? Um, so same thing. I went and saw it, and it was like, whoa, oh, okay, like this is what this movie's about. Suddenly, like, snap, boom, gay cowboys. No hint
Oh,
leading up to it
oh,
whatsoever. Spit in the hand, like it
oh,
happens like that,
honestly,
folks.
my biggest problem with that movie, and I say this as a queer male, my biggest problem with that movie is just how suddenly the sex happens. Like it just happens out of nowhere.
It's what the fuck do you want to do?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
yeehaw!
ride 'em, cowboy. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It's just suddenly, and I was
It's
like,
like
slow,
that's not realistic at all.
homie, slow down.
Uh,
um,
maybe have maybe have a dialogue first.
and and that's what I recall from like first watching it too. I was like, whoa! Like the quickest from are they gonna fight to like just penis inside other person that I've ever seen on screen. And I always well, I think that's great, hilarious or whatever. But then the rest of the
from
movie, it was like
from fisticuffs to dicks and butts.
that's our review on Brokeback Mountain, from fisticuffs to dicks and butts. But I
Oh,
revolutionary movie, revolutionary acting. Like it's wild for me to think that Heath Ledger that's the same actor as A Knight's Tale and Dark Knight.
I was gonna say, and The Dark Knight, like,
Right, playing this like kind of older, like, cowboy who has grew up in a different time and has to live in like a different world and can't like be himself, and the whole movie's like tragic. It's not about it, the gays shoving their agendas in our face, like, genuinely, really tragic, good representative movie. And so, I kind of followed him his whole career. And hell, fucking even 10 Things I Hate About You.
Much like Heath Ledger, and here's something that's kind of been a thought that's been going through my mind for the past couple of days, especially with seeing the outpouring of support and love on social media that people had for Jason David Frank. I wish he could have seen that, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like, and him like dying from suicide. And speaking as someone who has been suicidal like almost every day of his entire adult life, I wish the man had been able to see just how much he meant to everyone.
Neat. Yeah. And it it's one of those things where myself, it's it's not something I'm going to talk about too much on, but like it's one of those things where you can't blame the person or yourself or other people, because like
No, I
you can't stop it. And
yeah.
it, like, if somebody wants it, it happens. But like I think that even though I don't have those ideations and you've dealt with that, um it's often when uh in moments where you're not thinking that way or whatever, you're glad. There are times glad to be alive, right? But like in the
Of
moment,
course, yeah.
you can't. And it's really, I haven't seen any for JDF, but I have seen a lot of like hot takes from celebrities for other celebrities that have passed away through suicide, talking badly about them, things about like being cowardly or easy
I
way out or all of that kind of stuff. And I'm
I
like, I
hate
hate
that
this
shit.
person from now
Yeah.
on. Unfollow. They're on my shit list. Won't even listen to any of their music or whatever it is. Yeah. And haven't I also don't immerse myself in the internet that much. But
Probably for the best.
probably for the best. Um but I remember when what was when Chester Bennington, right, um had passed away through suicide. So many like metal or rap or new metal, whatever, that in the industry, even people outside of his industry being like, oh, he had a family, I would like never do that. And I'm like, how nice for you like able-minded, neurotypical like individual, for you to be like so judgmental. And
I saw someone on a because like Jason David Frank was so he was such a like a cornerstone of just fandom in general that
absolutely.
a Transformers website that I frequent. He had nothing to do with Transformers, but they posted an article just
And that's the
because
thing, it feels so adjacent because you're the 90s kids, right?
yeah, yeah.
Right, that it's like there's no way you were a fan of like Transformers or like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or like Reboot or any of the turn of the millennium like shows, and not a fan of like Power Rangers as well,
Yeah, yeah. And
or at least aware of its influence, right?
for sure. And so on this Transformers site, they had posted an article about JDF's passing, and I saw someone on their comments section who was like, "Wow, that." And to be clear, I'm not shit talking this person at
Yeah.
all, but like this person was like, "Wow, that's so sad and so tragic. I can't." even begin to imagine what it must be like to have the urge to just end everything. Like, I don't even understand that.
And
And
in the
like,
very least, that's not offensive.
no, it's not
It's somebody
offensive.
voicing that they don't understand it.
I was just legitimately shocked. I was like, wow, I'm envious of your apparently like strong sense of mental health where you've never,
What medication are you taking? I'll take your entire supply.
yeah, where
None?
it's just like, I,
Where is this
wow.
Ubermensch gene? That you... Well,
Uh,
like we all just like wake up and like sometimes like we wake up on the wrong side of the bed and we get our coffee in us and our, you know, pick ourselves up by the bootstraps, one foot in front of the other and trudge on one day at a time.
and I walk out my door and head to work singing "Good morning, good morning." It's great to stay up late.
How do you do, my fellow neurotypicals?
I, well, yeah, yeah, no, and again, I'm not throwing shade at this person at
No,
all.
no.
I'm just, I'm in awe at how neurotypical they apparently are. The fact that they can't even wrap their head around the notion of suicide.
And I mean, ideally, we want to live in a world where like we don't have to, nobody has to experience what it's like to feel that, and nobody feels prejudice and nobody feels any of
Yeah.
like these negative things. But holy cow, the humans suck, man. Not just like socially and the way we like treat each other, but like the junk genes. And it was like, oh, what would be advantageous to your offspring? The schizophrenia gene. Here you go. Oh, how about depression? Nothing that passes on genes better than making you feel like you want to kill yourself. And it's like, how? How did these apes get this far? My mom has three kids. Oh, how come none of you have kids? I need grandchildren. None of us are probably having any. And the same thing. It was just like, oh, like not even by accident. And I'm like, yeah, I'm shocked too, Mom. Like, here we
I,
go.
I'm at a point in my life where my family is finally, it took years, but finally has stopped asking me, "Oh, when are you going to start having children?" And I'm just
Oh,
like, I'm not.
it's time we gave up on asking him that. Well, I'm glad that we're able. And here's the thing. Speaking of like, you wish JDF had been able to see all like the love and everything like that. Like, and
Hmm.
indeed, we're able to laugh and like make jokes about like these things or from our experiences and friends' experience and stuff like that. And I think that that's a good thing,
Yeah, yeah, totally.
right? Like if we can talk about those like issues, even if it's in like a humorous manner, or here or there, and in a serious manner, like as well, then it's like positive discourse, and it's still fun for us, and
Yeah,
like
the vibe.
nobody's listening to us, and they're like, oh man, I just wish 100% of these guys' content was just reviewing the show that they're watching. Like if you're on 53 with us, like what do you yeah, we 20% of what we talk about is like the fucking shit on the show that, that we're reviewing, man.
Yeah, and indeed, like we're the 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 topic of discussion is eventually going to be an episode of Power Rangers Zeo, but like we're
But why are we recording this? We're not recording this because we got an urge to watch Super Sentai films, right? It's somebody passed away that was important to many people,
yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with talking about how they passed away and how they positively influenced people and how
It's something that
tragic it is, and it's worthy, makes it's okay to remember people for the good things and talk about the shit they had to deal with.
it's a it's really hard to, like, you cannot understate just how much of a pop culture juggernaut Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was in the 90s.
I can't fathom the numerical monetary amount, but oh, I could just imagine the industry like tens of millions. But I don't know. It was everywhere in the world. Like we got the Western Mighty Morphin, right? Where
Yeah,
it's like the OGs are doing all the stunts, and then but I didn't realize this until recently. There's like like a Latin America like Mighty Morphin, where they dub over and it's the English, but then they dub, and then there's like Korean ones, and like
yeah.
there's multiple like iterations, and it like I would be
Saban
shocked if there was a soul alive right now.
Saban did something truly revolutionary for the time in taking Japanese Super Sentai shows and just shooting new scenes with American actors. This was entirely a budgetary thing too, because they could license the footage from the Super Sentai show super cheap. And they're like, okay, so we don't need to do stunts or anything like that. We just need to pay.
Good, because that's the expensive part, really.
We just need like $100 to shoot some like teenage actors that no one's ever heard of,
They
like
don't need to pay for
hanging
the
out
practical effects,
hanging out at a school.
right? Like they're not paying for the explosions and stuff
Yeah,
because those are happening in the battles. They're not paying for the manufacturing, the suits, the FX
yeah.
department, because that's shot from the Japanese studios too. They are, and it's hard to remove because I grew up with it, right? They are just filming these young adults in like a school hallway
Yep.
or like outside in the desert. It,
Yeah.
for like 10 minutes episode, right? At a fair, like with the episode we reviewed, right? For like 10 minutes. Because a lot of the episode is rehashed and
Yeah.
then the voice acting on top of it.
You know who I would like really want to give props to in regards to Power Rangers is the writers. Like just taking this random footage and actually
I can't
like
believe it.
writing episodes around it.
And you and I reviewed Mighty Morphin a while back on the Lasercomb podcast.
We did. I think it was episode 4. So, long time
And
ago now.
it was the and we recall being like the pink Power Ranger. It's just like, oh, I'm not that good at balance. Unless it's balancing a shopping bag.
Yeah.
Like the dialogue was kind of like, oh, right.
Of its time, yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, we got to make fun of it because we were like, you're a ninja. You do cartwheels and you like fight like aliens.
Yeah.
Like what do you mean you can't balance on like these stilts kind of thing, right? But the the writing to make it work and the fact it wasn't just like gobbledygook, like completely broken and throwaway, and then lasted and kept that format for decades.
Still going.
Um,
Well, and
is amazing actually.
circling back to the original point I was trying to make is like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was just it was when it hit the scene in I think it was the end of August of 1993. Immediately became a pop culture juggernaut, and it's something that can't that like when I'm talking to people who are younger than I am, like people in their like teens or 20s, like who've kind of just grown up in a world where like, oh, the new Power Rangers Dino Charge. Like just like the latest, like it's just a thing that just exists.
I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna be like, it's weird to have memories from before it existed.
Yeah. But like I was there day one when
I was there, man.
when Power Rangers like first
I was there when
onto
they
the
pulled
scene.
the seal off Rita's prison.
When those two astronauts.
Those two random. Here's the thing: two astronauts. You're on the moon, that no civilization has been to before, and you see a magical, like iron, like manhole cover.
Walk away.
Walk, just leave.
Just bounce away on the moon.
Nope, I didn't see shit. Because it's just like, after 10,000 years, I'm free. What did you expect? Of course there's an immortal wizard like that's been banished in that hole, right? And the intro music,
Yeah,
man, if
Ron Wasserman.
I don't know if there's anyone alive who can't just immediately recall that in their fucking head. That electric riff.
That da 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 da. And just like in like the first season, it even in the intro, it has like Rita being like, "After 10,000 years, I'm free. It's time to conquer Earth."
And that's
Alpha,
right, it's
Rita's
cut.
escaped.
The way the intros are cut, right? Lets you know everything you need to know. If the first
Yeah,
time you watched it was episode 13, the intro's like, oh shit, oh giant blue guy, oh powers, like fucking right off the
recruit
bat.
Alpha, recruit a team of teenagers with attitudes.
And the design and everything, just like it's iconic, right? And we can look back through a modern lens now and be like, the Black Ranger was a black dude, Asian actress was the yellow. Sorry, the black
Yeah,
actor was
that's
the Black Ranger, the Asian actress was the Yellow Ranger, and of course, because pink is a girl color, uh, the white chick is the Pink
yeah,
Ranger.
yeah. Um, Not something I thought about at the time because like
No,
I was 8 years old. Like I didn't care, but
no.
it was a thing that people even noticed at the time. Like
Oh,
so much
adults
so,
and teenagers had to have noticed,
so much so
but we
that like
didn't.
when they shook up the cast, I think in the second season, like they cast an African American actress as the Yellow Ranger,
Yeah,
Karen Ashley,
yeah,
Aisha.
hell yeah,
Big fan of Aisha. That's all I'm gonna say.
yeah.
um, they cast a I Johnny Young Johnny Young Bosch. I
That
think
sounds.
I think he might be like half Asian, half Latino. Um, Not entirely sure, but anyway, he was the second Black Ranger.
Yeah,
So
mixed
yeah, yeah.
race.
So like even at the time, like they were aware, like people were aware of like, hey, you got the black
And
actor
it
as the
makes
Black
you
Ranger.
wonder, that first casting director, right? It makes you,
It's like, what are you doing, man?
like, 8 episodes in, hey, Mr. Director guy, black guy's the Black Ranger, Asian girl's the Yellow Ranger.
May she
The,
rest in peace.
rip in peace, yeah.
She passed away. I guess about 20 years ago now in a car accident, tragically.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we had spoken about that when
Yeah,
we
yeah.
reviewed Mighty Morphin. Yeah. And but yeah, they moved that aside and they've changed it. And here's the thing: outside of Mighty Morphin, I kind of fell uh, away from Power Rangers. Um,
Yeah.
what about you? Like, how deep did you keep watching Power Rangers, or did you go back to visit it as an adult at some, like, what? How did it
Okay.
affect? What's your story? What's your Power Ranger story?
All right. So here's how it went down for me. I was there day and date with like when Mighty Morphin Power Rangers originally aired. I watched it on Fox Kids. Fox Kids had been hyping it up for like a month beforehand, so I was right there. Like I was ready. I was 8 years old and I was fucking ready for this after seeing like a month or so of commercials for the show.
Right?
Absolutely fell in love with it like immediately. I can still go back and watch those early seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and still get like absolutely hyped anytime like they're like, we need dinosaur power now, and then like the music starts playing. Still get hyped.
And it's the same animation every time. Doesn't
Yep,
matter.
yep.
Bring them on. I want
Same
to see them
footage.
toys. I want to see them toys.
Yeah, same footage every time, but I still get excited, and part of it is because of that music too. Uh, Ron Wasserman.
Absolutely.
Ron Wasserman. Power Rangers theme. X-Men 1992 theme. Mummies Alive theme,
Oh, which we just reviewed. Yeah.
which we just reviewed. Um, Ron Wasserman and Bob Buckley basically soundtrack.
Single-handedly
Bas-
carrying 90s intros on their backs.
Yeah, Ron Wasserman and Bob Buckley, basically
Like
the two,
Atlas carrying the 90s.
basically the two composers of my childhood.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, absolutely loved it. In I think around 1995 or so, the big parent scare, basically like the 90s version of the Satanic Panic,
Thank you for bringing this up.
was that Power Rangers was making kids karate chop each other at school and killing their classmates.
And in one of my urban mom circle myths or whatever, somebody was killed, like a girl was killed because they were LARPing. Oh, I guess that term wasn't used, but they were like, like playing Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So how'd that affect you? Did it barely affect you, or was it like schools like you're not allowed to bring Power Ranger stuff? Your parents aren't allowed to let you watch it, or how did that go?
Uh, my mom bought into all of those media panics of the 90s, and I wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers anymore for a good couple of years, which sucked because I missed out on the later seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I missed out on Power Rangers Zeo. But when I was 12, at that point in my life, I'd kind of just in my head said fuck it and just started watching whatever I wanted to, and my mom couldn't really stop me anymore at that point. So I started watching
Just
Power
try to
Rangers again.
stop me, Mom.
So I started watching Power Rangers again, and that was around shortly after Power Rangers Turbo had just debuted. So I have a lot of nostalgia for Power Rangers Turbo.
Turbo, right.
Power Rangers Turbo, also theme song by Ron Wasserman. I think it's the second best Power Rangers theme. Like the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme can't be touched, but Power Rangers Turbo theme also fucking slaps.
I think I recall it, or maybe you shared it with me when we did the right when we reviewed more Mighty Morphin. I checked it out.
Yeah, I urge anyone listening to this who is not aware, who are familiar with the Power Rangers Turbo theme, go check it out.
What
It's on YouTube.
happened? What happened 2000s and 2010 to your children's intros? They're weak. They're soft. I watched Paw Patrol intro because that's one of the things like my nieces, my partners like nieces
Yeah.
like watch or whatever, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, I like dogs, like GI Joe version of dogs as much as the next guy, but like, where's the slap and metal intro? Slightly different age audience for that, but
Yeah, the 90 like
the
kids
90s are different. Come on.
yeah, kids show theme songs in the 90s like were really fucking rocking. Like hard like very like metal, hard rock or metal inspired guitar riffs was like the thing
Yeah,
in the 90s.
yeah, like it moved away from that like very like electronic 80s kind of cartoon or kid show like intro to more like instrumental, just um like iconic kind of like chords.
Diddle-diddle-doo, doo-doo. Diddle-diddle-doo, doo-doo. Diddle-diddle-doo, doo-doo.
Right, yeah, anybody aged from like I want to say like 30 to 40, if you go do 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 do,
Yeah.
that if that doesn't pop in their head, I would be, if X-Men doesn't pop up in their head, I would be shocked.
In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a movie that like a lot of people were kind of tepid on. I fucking love it. I love that
I
movie.
recall you saying
Like
you you fucking
I've seen
loved
it
it.
like 4 or 5 times now. Like
Oh
I
shit.
love I love Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Um, but when Patrick Stewart as Professor X, spoilers I guess. Um, when Patrick Stewart shows
A
up as
person who's
Professor
played Professor X?
when he shows up in that movie, which he shows up in the yellow like hover chair from the 90s cartoon, which is fucking dope.
That
But
is
like
dope. I
But
need to
like,
watch this now.
oh, you definitely do. Also, get ready for Elizabeth Olsen covered in blood, barefoot, using psychic powers and just ripping people apart. It's weirdly kind of sexy.
uh,
But yeah, when Professor X shows up in that movie, in the score, you actually hear diddle diddle doo 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 diddle diddle doo doo doo
Hype.
just briefly. Which unfortunately in the credits they don't credit to Ron Wasserman, which bugs me. Like they credit it to Saban of all people.
Huh.
Because Saban, Haim Saban, produced that cartoon, but they credit the theme song to him, and I'm like, no, man, it's
No, it was composed and
it,
performed.
it was composed by and written by Ron Wasserman. Like, what are you doing, guys? Fuck you, Disney.
Weird.
Yeah, very
Maybe some
weird.
sort of rights bullshit.
Maybe. Uh, what is not bullshit, however, is if this will actually be visible. No, you know what?
No, it's not his
No,
haircut.
no, no, it's not. I'm gonna
We've
remove my
already
background.
established that that is, in fact, bullshit.
All
There we
right,
go.
here we go.
That's fucking sharp, man. That looks pristine. Oh shit, there's a bunch of stuff written on that.
Yeah, it's
Oh, to Christopher.
yeah. I got this.
Jason can't quite read it. Assume it's his full name. And what's written on there? It's to
I
Christopher.
it's got his signature and says some other stuff that, to be honest, I can't read.
That makes it more precious. I love that it's he's got the removable gold.
The shield, yeah.
Yeah. Real morphing action.
Yeah, so this is a reissue of the original like 1993 Power Rangers like automorphing figure. This was
Auto
re
morphing.
this was reissued back in like 2017 or so. And I found one at Walmart and bought it, and it's still in the package. And when I mentioned earlier, I met Jason David Frank at Fan Expo in 2018. I was like, I'm gonna get him to sign this, and indeed he did.
Rad. Yeah,
Yeah.
the closest thing I have to any celebrity um signing I have two things. I have Colonel Chris Hadfield, Canadian astronaut, signed his book.
Oh,
And
I think you've told me about that off air before.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he signed my skateboard. And An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth is his book. Um, and on the cover of it, there's a astronaut in space, but he's doing like a kickflip with a, a skateboard. So, um, and I remember being like, "Oh, you're gonna get kicked out." When I was in line, like he's only supposed to, like, there are strict rules, right? He's only gonna like sign his book, and like his agent's like standing on the side, like glowering at me or whatever, and I get him to sign his book, and he's like, "Oh, I'm something of a skateboarder myself, and that's why the cover is blah blah blah." Oh, do you want me to sign it? I didn't ask him. I
Nice.
I didn't ask him, right? I just made
Very
sure I was
nice.
holding my board, and he
Ah,
offered, right? So
just
that's in.
placing the idea in his head there.
Let me just put my skateboard that I rode here myself on the counter while I get you to sign the book right next to the skateboard. Just, just right there. And oh, it's time to summon. Oh, it doesn't pick it up. Folks, if you're
Ah, damn it.
listening, Christopher Siege is trying to play his flute digger.
All right, I'm turning off the Krispy Kreme.
Oh, he's turning it off, folks. We can hear it. Amazing. Oh, it plays the theme. That's sick.
Yeah, it's the batteries in this are dying, but It will play the entire Mighty Morphin Power Rangers theme, like lyrics and
Wow.
all.
Oh, it has
Yeah.
lyrics and everything. Technology, man.
Yeah.
And what's the other thing I have
What a wild thing.
signed?
Also,
Oh shit. That is sick, man. Audio listeners, Christopher Siege is holding up a gold and black
Dragon Zord.
Dragon Zord. Yeah. But like, wow, that's sick. See, okay, so anybody that's been watching the Laser
Okay.
Comb or Too Much Energon with us knows that these things are also meant to sell toys. We don't kid our ourselves here. But the thing
But
is,
we also don't care.
but we don't care.
Yeah.
Like we know it's consumerism, but like let us enjoy things.
Uh,
Right?
Shout out. Exactly. Shout out to my former partner, Krista. Um these were Christmas gifts from her several years ago.
And you know what? They look exactly like they do on the show. Like fucking exactly.
I've seen these things at Toys R Us too. They're not cheap.
Yeah, I could imagine. Like that's huge. That's like a 2 foot dagger.
Yeah, you could you could actually summon the Dragon Zord with this thing. Like it's like I said earlier, it's got heft to it.
Yeah, do not put it in the hands of the unworthy, is all we're saying. Yeah, and the other thing I got signed is my Star Fox 64 cartridge. Not the
Oh,
box, Star Fox 64
the cartridge
cartridge.
itself.
The cartridge itself by Tom Green.
Really?
Which Yep.
Okay. Is there a story here?
Okay, so the very long story short is Tom Green started doing video, like live video. He moved his show to the internet long before that started to actually be a thing.
Right.
And if he had done that in like maybe 2015, like onwards, I think he would have been wildly successful. But it was like 2000s and it didn't like really pick up. It wasn't extremely like popular, right? But he would take like Skype calls and that
Oh.
sort of thing, right? From like, viewers and engage with like an audience, right? And like a 4chaner got on there, right? Because this is before he started getting bombed. And they were like, it was when he had Tony Hawk on the show.
Oh.
And he's like, "Yeah, hi, Tom. Oh, I love your show, and I just got a question for Tony Hawk. Yeah, can you do a barrel roll? And do a barrel roll is was
Yeah.
a 4chan
Yeah.
meme,
Yeah.
a
Do a
wholesome
barrel
one,
roll.
but like just yeah, do a barrel roll. One of the voice lines from Star Fox 64. Um, and Tom Green just kind of looks in the camera. He's like, "A barrel roll?" And the viewer is like, "Yeah, a barrel roll, a barrel roll, a barrel roll, a barrel roll. Yeah, a barrel roll, a barrel roll." And Tom Green skateboards, so he knows the names of tricks and stuff like that. It was his engagement with it that made 4chan swarm him and spam him, and he could get nothing but 4chaners yelling like the N word or like dicks or like do barrel roll for years, and it kind of ruined his show because now
Right.
instead of genuine listeners engaging with him, and it was humorous to an effect because he would engage with them. Like there was a common like clip or whatever, and he was just like, "Nope, okay, next. Hey, you're on the air. What's up? Who? Yeah, huh? Cool. Star Fox. Yeah, what next? Huh? Oh, the real original. Okay, fuck you. Next." And he just like goes like before even like listening. "Oh yeah, hey, nope, fuck you." And like people on the show would be like, "Why are you just like hanging up on everybody?" And he'd have to be all like, "Oh, blah blah blah. I said something from a video game like one time or like whatever, and now like these like losers like won't leave me alone." And he was losers from 4chan or whatever, and the person on the show is like 4chan, and he's like, "Yes," and he turns to the camera and he's like, "4chan," and
Okay,
like that
I've
became a
seen
gif,
yeah, I've seen that before.
right? So again, because he's interaction and he has that like overly dramatic like yelling of like 4chan in that just brought on another like 2 years of like being swarmed, and all the people in his like Skype things would be like XX underscore 360 like no scope barrel roll kid 69 underscore XX, right. Right, like he would get nothing but like Pepe and like Falco and like all the like, because you could just put your name whatever you wanted to on Skype.
Yeah.
And so there's that meme, and I remember somebody being next to me and people are getting him to sign other shit, right?
Right.
And the guy like next to me is like, Tom Green is like wasted by the end of his show, his comedy show, which was fucking great, right? And they're like, "Oh, you're gonna get kicked out for asking him to sign that." Oh, you're gonna get kicked. Oh, like no, like if you know anything about Tom Green, like he's gonna be pissed. And he's just like holding on. Is oh, hold this for me, and I hold his like drink for and he takes it, and he just yeah signs the gray part. He needed a green Sharpie, the gray part of it. And I'm like, oh, can I get a picture? And yeah, I've got a picture of him sloshed like doing this, and we've got our arms like around each other, and I'm holding up the Star Fox 64 cartridge like like making like a stupid face, and he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He probably didn't even see what he was signing, to be honest. So that's my
But
story.
that's a very clever thing to get autographed, in my
I, I
opinion.
I think so. As far as I know, I'm the only one with a Tom Green signed Star Fox 64 game.
Mm.
So there's that, and maybe one of the few people with like an astronaut who signed his skateboard. So that's it. I've got nothing else. Very different things too.
Speaking of Tommy
Speaking
Oliver.
of Toms, got a lot of Toms on the show
Yep.
mentioned today. Yeah. What do we want to do?
Uh, well, this week on the Lasercomb podcast, in honor of Jason David Frank, we're covering an episode of Power Rangers Zeo. We are covering the 21st episode of Power Rangers Zeo.
That explains my background.
Brother, can you spare an arrowhead, brother?
I love that the as soon as we did we air that? We filmed it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's going to be the intro to this episode.
Yeah, we filmed it
Like
with
re-roll and all. Like I didn't cut anything
fuck
out.
it. Yeah. But it's just funny that immediately we were both like, "Brother, can you spare an arrowhead?"
Brother, can you spare an arrowhead? Also, I like how in this episode, Tommy and his brother David. One, I didn't know that they were First Nations, so cool. But also, I like how that they're doing the whole like Ryu and what's the other one in Street Fighter?
Ken?
What Ken? Yeah, they're doing the whole red and white gi thing.
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, so episode 21 of Power Rangers Zeo originally aired on September 9th,
Oh, I didn't know that you
1996.
didn't realize he was like he was like Native American.
Yeah, I had no idea.
That was important to that was a big deal to me when I was watching at the time, and I must have caught parts of this, or I must have watched it here or there, because I remember catching episodes of this now, like in hindsight. I said I never really like watched any of it, but I remember being like, oh hey, like, but like, you know, this it's a native like kid or whatever, and not gonna go into it or whatever, but half of my family is like indigenous Canadian.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so that was a kind of hype thing. But again, I was just kind of getting to the age where it wasn't like cool to still like Power Rangers, right? So it was something I watched with my cousins. I
Right.
just wanted to point that out. Yeah.
I saw someone on social media, a pro wrestler who is my age. Like I looked him up and he's like maybe 4 months younger than I am.
Oh,
And he was like, "Oh, I was too old for Power Rangers when it debuted, but like my younger siblings like watched it." And I'm like, "The same age, bro." And like I was fucking there for Power Rangers. So, I don't know
he
what you're
was
talking
too
about.
old for Power Rangers, and it was 93. So he wouldn't have even been, he would have been 8.
He would have been 8. Yeah, just like I
Fuck
was.
off.
Yeah, yeah, like
I was
exactly.
growing facial hair and I stopped trick or treating. Fuck you. I trick or treated till I was like 16, 17.
Yeah, same.
It helped that I had younger siblings.
Yeah, uh, that was the excuse I used, so I could still just try and
That's right.
sound like I was too cool for it.
I ran into people being like, "Oh, aren't you too old to be trick or treating?" Listen, motherfucker, this is how this works. I dress up, you put the fucking candy in the bag, you cheapskate. Put your like cheap ass like stick like bite size O Henry that probably cost like 6 cents at the time in my fucking bag. Shut up, save your opinions for yourself, and be glad that my outfit gets to bless your eyes.
Be glad that I'm here asking at your door, dressed up in a fabulous costume, asking for candy instead of doing the drugs and vandalizing your home.
This is how it works, sir. You give us candy, and I don't TP your house. Trade offer. You give me candy, you receive no TP over your trees and house. Pretty good deal.
uh,
And you're gonna put some candy in the other bag here, see? Because my boy Johnny in the street without the costume, he's got a carton of eggs, see? Now make this easy on yourself.
see over there down in the street. That's my buddy Louie. Okay. Now,
he's
now,
not
now,
dressed up.
now, listen right here. Louis, he's a good fucking guy. Good fucking guy. Real good fucking guy. You know what? You know what Louis needs? He needs some of that candy that you got. You know what? He needs all of the candy you got in that bowl right there. You're going to put it in this bag, and I'm going to get one of my boys here to go over and give Louis the candy that you just gave him. And they're going to make sure that Louis knows that you gave him all of your candy.
And you know what? You know
And
what?
Louis is going to take real good care of your house after
Louis is
this.
gonna take good care of your house. You're under his jurisdiction. You're under his protection now. See? Don't worry about it. You see? So are you a good guy or do we have a problem here?
we we gonna be
We're gonna be
we're all
friends?
we're all friends here, right? And now after we walk away, you're gonna we're still gonna be friends, but you're gonna forget all about me and Louis.
That's right. And but hey, you need anything egged, you find yourself ill begotten of say toilet paper, we're your guy. We're your guys.
It's like our recurring like
Yeah,
mobster
somehow
bit.
there's a recurring mobster bit on our podcasts that works its way in. There's a laser comb canon for the mobster
Yeah.
verse
The like friendly, like intimidating, like racketeer.
that are just
Yeah.
after like mundane.
Who are after Cheetos.
Right. Hey man, I'm just saying the boss has got $10 million. How expensive could a cheetah be?
Oh Christ.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Power Rangers
Red
Zeo.
Rangers, right? The Native American, right? He's got a sweet ponytail,
Yep.
good-looking dude. He's here to kick ass and take names.
I've long since like For most of my adult life, I've had long hair. Like I have long-ish hair right now.
Well, it's only the last like couple of years where the turns have tabled, and my hair's been longer than yours.
Yeah,
Because for most of our lives, I've had the buzz cuts and the short hair, and Siege has had long hair.
like long hair, like going like pretty much halfway down my back. Like
Yeah,
I've most of my adult life, I've had long hair. I've had
Red
short hair a
Ranger
couple
long
times.
hair.
Um, but I've and for me, like I've always, even when I was a kid, like I thought dudes with long hair was really cool. And I've long
So did
since,
I, but I could never get over like the teasing and that hump of it being longer than your ears, but not quite reaching
oh, the bullshit
the sh-
stage. Yeah,
the bullshit stage where you get
yeah,
mocked in school. I
yeah.
always wanted like long hair when I was like younger. Just wanted to
Um,
pipe in on that.
but I've always said that like the reason why, like even going back to when I was a kid, why I thought dudes with long hair looked really cool was because of Tommy Oliver, the Green
Definitely.
Ranger, and
The Crow?
the Crow, and Duncan MacLeod from Highlander,
You're goddamn right. Duncan MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod.
from the
Um,
Highlander TV show.
Power Rangers. Well, specifically this actor. I can't recall his name right now. Should have looked it up. And yeah, Brandon Lee of
Duncan
the Crow
MacLeod was
fame.
played by what was his name? Aaron Paul, I think.
Let's go with that. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I'm gonna double check
absolutely.
that.
That like, and here's the thing: I didn't watch a lot of it, but my uncle did. Steven Seagal was kind of cool for like uncles in the '90s, and I'm not gonna lie, like that was part of it too. But yeah,
Not
having
Aaron
like
Paul,
long hair, ponytail, and knowing martial arts. That was like the coolest 90 shit ever. Right?
right? Adrian Paul, that was his name.
Adrian
Adrian
Paul.
Paul, right? Aaron Paul was Jesse Pinkman in
Oh,
Breaking Bad.
right,
Very,
right.
very different actor. Great, but very different.
Yeah.
Very different energy.
Very different energy. Yeah, but like knowing martial arts and having like a ponytail was like a license to kill in the 90s, man.
Hey, Steven Seagal starred in two movies called Under Siege.
Under, not over siege.
Under,
Or
not
on
over.
top of.
So it's under, so it's not realistic.
Yeah, it's not realistic at all. And
Snidler actually tweeted a little while ago a photo of me that he photoshopped onto the
fucking
Under
10 out of
Siege
10.
Under Siege poster, which made me fucking laugh
With
out
like your
loud.
face
Yeah,
on
with
the
my
on
face
the front.
being like ah.
It's it's like a low effort like Photoshop, and yet just like one of the best things I've seen like shared on like not even like any other additional info, just like straight up just the poster with like the credits on the bottom and everything, just with your face.
With my face on it.
Fuck.
I'm like slow clap, Snidler. Slow clap.
Share.
Retweet.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if only 3 of us like it. Damn it.
Nope.
But
Doesn't
yeah,
matter at all.
what do we got? Rad ponytail. Also, if you were also a dude with earrings and a ponytail, just saying, are there cooler dudes?
Nope.
And our boy and our Red Ranger and our Star Child. His visor's the star. Um, homie's got earrings. Just
He's
saying.
got one on his
But
left ear, so you know he's straight because this
I,
was the 90s.
if you were a kid in the 90s, you know that the right ear is the gay ear.
Yeah.
Hey,
That was such
I
a
don't make the
weird
rules.
thing.
Have you
Like
ever met
looking back
people
on
that
it.
didn't know that and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a
Not
thing.
both. Both was fine. Both was metal. But if you just had one, it had to be on the straight ear,
Yeah. Had to be
the
on the
left ear.
left.
I don't make the rules.
Uh,
I
I have two piercings in each of my ears. But I wear for audio listeners, I wear studs in my left. I have two studs in my left ear, and I have two hoops in my right ear. That is a that is a calculated choice. Is
That's a
all I'm
calculated
saying.
choice.
Is
That
all I'm
lets
saying.
people know that he's loopy. His gay side is a little bit more loopy.
Uh,
That
it lets
I don't know
people
where I'm
know
going with that.
that I'm loopy, and also I got studs around me.
That's right. He's
Yeah.
got studs around him. He's loopy and he's got studs around him. Jelly?
I think so.
We're not even fucking making it through this.
Oh, no.
Is there some science in this episode, or did I fever dream this? Folks, there's banshees. The Patreon, if you're interested in the tale of UFOs and banshees, that I got 3 hours, 2 hours of sleep.
Oh,
I'm pretty
Jesus.
sure there's some science in this episode.
Uh, yeah. Oh,
Or
on the subject of earrings, so Tommy has his left ear pierced. He's got one hoop, but also his brother, David, also has the exact same ear
I
pierced,
noticed
and he
that.
has this exact same gold hoop.
That's how you know. That's how you know they're brothers.
Yeah. They're
Sun
matching
setting at
matching.
3 p.m.
I honestly I was half expecting I was half expecting the show to pull a Star Trek and just have his brother played by Jason David Frank with like a mustache.
I almost just expected.
I that's when I was watching this episode earlier. That's what I was expecting.
I was actually surprised that that isn't what they did. Would have been funny.
They're like the split screen effect would be more expensive than just paying this like random guy like $5 an hour.
Bada bing, bada boom. You're the Red Ranger's brother.
Also, Bulk and Skull. Bulk and Skull are still like police academy candidates, which is a carryover from uh the later seasons of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Bulk and Skull
Right.
decided to be cops. But weirdly, they got Rito, who is Rita's brother, and they got Goldar just living in their garage. Also, Skull is like weirdly seems like he's on drugs in most of this episode. Like legit on drugs.
I guess that's just the character. I didn't,
He doesn't
like I said,
normally.
I had watched a few episodes and it's like the actor was like, oh, like he's cool. Here's the thing. I should
Skull
just
doesn't
Google his
normally
name.
act that way
The
though.
Red Ranger actor. Oh, he doesn't?
No.
Huh.
Like the fact that like when their boss, Lieutenant Stone, I think his name is, when he's showing them like ink blots and stuff like that, Skull is like legitimately like tweaking and shit. I'm like, what is going on with this character
Okay,
right
I
now?
recalled that, and it's just it makes you wonder if there's little every once in a while there's a weird um inconsistency in like character acting, and it's probably because things are cut. Like maybe this guy got poisoned or he drank something or ate something he shouldn't have and it's human food, and so like, do you know what I
Right.
mean? But they cut it for uh time
Yeah.
reasons or something. And I did notice that, but I just thought maybe the character was supposed to act high.
Yeah, when they're in the garage and Lieutenant Stone shows up and Goldar and Rito like hide, like he's acting stoned, like he's like really giggly and like has like a big smile on his face and is like trying to like contain his laughter. But then later on, when they're in Stone's office, like he's legitimately acting like he's like on crack or something.
Yeah, that actually, yeah, now I recall that. One thing I want to
It's
point
weird.
out, it is weird. The scrambling. So people that are like, oh, like it's too cheesy and oh, the actors are like bad or whatever. No, there's a level of campiness that is very purposeful, delivered by a lot of the more comedic relief characters,
Yeah.
that is extraordinary acting. because it's just like, okay, method act, oh, my character's serious or sad or whatever, but there's something to be said about like trying to realistically deliver like a character that's like, oh my god, oh, we need to clean up this garage, and then there's like sped up emotion of Goldar and fucking
Rito.
Skull, Rito, and fucking like these two of them which aren't humans,
Yep.
scrambling with like, I almost expected Benny Hill theme playing in the
Right.
background, like quickly. Maybe they were getting stoned in the garage. I don't know what was cut here, folks, but something was going on there. Whoa, man, I had a bad trip.
Yeah, like I said, Skull is definitely like acting high in every scene that he's in.
Yeah, and the uh, these two actors that play the police academy guys, you just said their name.
Bulk
I've
and
had
Skull.
I 2 hours of sleep, folks. Excuse me. They're in a lot of the Power Rangers too.
They are, yeah. Bulk, the actor who played Bulk, I think, was in the Power Ranger shows like well into the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like I think I remember reading a while ago that his character ended up buying the like cafe or something that the Rangers like hanging out at, and he became the owner.
Oh, wild. Look at
Yeah.
him getting his life together.
Yeah.
Man, his
Bulk,
hair is cool.
Bulk and Skull, like characters who started off as just being like the shitty like bullies, like in the first season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, actually became like very like fun and lovable characters.
Endearing characters that sometimes the entire B plot revolves around them and they don't interact with the main story whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like in this case, a lot of the shit that's affecting them, nothing to do with the A plot. Like, like at all.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's Power Rangers.
Yep. Um
Does think there was somebody, Red Ranger goes and meets his like grandfather or
okay, so to quickly like talk about like this episode of Power Rangers Zeo and like what's going on in the plot is the episode like starts off like coming in hot, which I'm not used to with Power Rangers, to be honest.
I'm not used. I was like, what is this? I wasn't used to that at all.
Yeah, we're coming in hot. Like Tommy's brother has been kidnapped by King Mondo, I think.
Yeah.
King Mondo, the like evil baddie of the Machine Empire. Uh, his brother has been kidnapped,
Right.
and
Yeah.
um, something to do with a mystical arrowhead, which explains the name of the episode. Brother, can you spare an arrowhead, brother?
Right. Can you spare an arrowhead, brother?
And so, like within the first
Right.
couple minutes of the episode, there's straight up like a Megazord battle and everything. Which I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Right
say
away.
this is the shittiest Megazord I've ever seen in the history of the franchise.
Okay, so I wasn't going to say anything because I was like, oh, I'm not gonna like shit talk Power Rangers. Like it's gone through a lot of iterations. It doesn't it doesn't feel like a kick-ass Megazord, you know?
it's
It's kind of
super
mostly his guns.
it's super chonky
It's
and
chunk.
it's chonk and
We like the
awkwardly
Gundam
proportioned.
human-like Megazords here.
But and like for some reason the Tommy has his own like separate Megazord as well. But it can also link up, but like the way it links up is super lame. Like they just like go back to back and like he puts his arms over the other the other Megazord and they
Like
become like Gatling guns.
my it's almost like whose line is it anyway? The thing where somebody goes behind you and put their arms
Oh,
like through them
oh
and like
yeah,
they're the
yeah,
ones
yeah.
that
You're
are
right.
talking and like mixing things and
That's pretty yeah, that's what this Megazord is.
come up behind. Now I'm your hands and guns. It's awkward
Yeah.
looking, but I understand it. The two you get these two toys and yet you chunk. There's even more toys to sell, is what I'm trying to say.
Uh,
I
so
get
uh,
it.
So Tommy has made some kind of deal with King Mondo to give him like this arrowhead in exchange for getting his brother back. And surprise, King Mondo betrays him, and he's
You
like,
piece
"What?
of shit.
What? How could you?" And he's like, "Haha, I'm the bad guy."
Yeah,
Pretty
actually, yeah.
much. um. Yeah. So bunch of shit goes down in the episode. I don't know. They
Yeah.
uh they they fight.
Uh,
Tommy reunites with his brother. He's able to free him, and his brother is like, "Oh, we got to save Tommy." And Tommy is like, "No, he's fine." And David is like, "No, he's not. We got to save him." And Tommy is like, "No, he's fine." Takes his helmet off, and he's like, "I'm a Power Ranger."
you're not wrong. I think you just kind of summed up the episode. Well,
Pretty much. And
um,
he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Those four friends of yours, are they?" Yeah, bro. Yeah, they are.
there is a scene where it shows like an eagle, and there's like a hoo flute, and like JDF goes to meet with like his like tribe elder or
I
his
was gonna say
dad
like
or
a tribal chief or something, some kind of like tribal elder.
yeah, and he gives him some advice about like how to act like a great warrior and how to be a leader and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
And what is he gives us the some lore dump too. He's like, so, what's imprisoned in the Arrowhead? We watched this, folks. It's just it's Power Rangers. Like every
yeah.
episode has nothing to do with the next, right? There is like a small progression of story for the characters.
This episode though seems to have some kind of serialized, like this show seems to have like a more serialized storyline going on compared to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because like I said, like this episode comes in hot, like we're like right in the middle of something going on, even though this isn't like, brother, can you spare an arrowhead part two.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did the elder like say? He was like the arrowhead holds great power, and whoever holds the anyways, it's important shit.
With great power comes great responsibility, basically.
And he's like, hey, if you see your brother, tell him it's about time he heads back home.
Also, this is something that I found funny. So they use the same establishing shot for the command center as they used in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but it's a very different set on the inside. So it's like, what did Zordon and Alpha like move to a smaller bedroom?
I was
Like,
gonna say,
so it's like the exact same shot for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the exterior, but like the interior is just a completely different and very much a smaller set.
they paid for an interior decorator. It also got bigger,
No,
right?
the rent in the old command center like chamber just got too much, so we had to move to a smaller room.
Some guy
Oh,
like walks on set and he's like wearing a house robe and he's like eating like beans right out of the can. It's just like, oh, don't mind him. We had to sublet one of the rooms. Pas- Pasadena rent has gotten crazy. Or where are they?
Rangers, Rangers, pay no attention to the dude over there.
The dude.
The
Listen,
dude.
he's eating cereal. Let's his
Yeah.
fork. I'm just the dude, man.
Rangers, find out who peed on his fucking rug.
Can't believe they peed on your fucking rug, man. So, President's Choice JDF eventually makes his appearance,
This
and
actor looks like his stunt double,
I,
basically. I
Pres-
I I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually who this is like his stuntman.
yeah, you can tell that we heavily researched the episode, folks. And this is when I realized, like, when he actually interacts when they go to save him. Um, it's not JDF.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because it's been showing him like locked away and like fighting like through this like fuzzy screen, right? That Alpha shows them. No,
Yeah, so
it's
we
a different
don't
dude.
have a Sam Kirk thing going on.
No, we got to save David.
Yep.
And they
Star
fight
Trek
some space dudes.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds, really really good show. Definitely the best of the modern Star Trek shows.
Really?
Really really good. Highly recommended. Sam Kirk is a character in that show, which and this was right after we reviewed that episode of the original series, like within like a week or something like that. So
Okay.
I was very delighted.
Yeah, we had watched the original was it the original
Yeah.
series, and it was like, "Oh, Kirk, isn't your brother on this settlement?"
And
And we're
it's
like, "What the fuck? You have a brother?"
Kirk has a brother, and it was literally just William Shatner with like a fake mustache.
And he dies off screen,
Yeah.
and they find him, and they just cut to him for like 5 seconds, and it's just William Shatner with a fucking goatee.
Not even a goatee, just a fake,
Oh,
very
like a press
obvious,
on
like very
must,
fake, like stick on
and it's just
mustache.
him lying, and you can see his chest moving a bit as he's
Yeah,
breathing, and his
yeah,
eyes are closing.
you can tell he's
He didn't even
breathing.
hold his breath.
But yeah, in Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Sam Kirk is a character, and he indeed has a pretty glorious mustache.
Amazing. It's canon.
It is.
I just want to say they're not putties in this one. They're what are the
Machinies?
goons? Goonies?
Machinies?
Machinies? Sparklies. They're spacemen.
Macy's.
Spaceys.
Spaceys, there we go. Oh,
Oh, ugh.
Kevin.
Are those
Kevin
fans
Spaceys.
of is, is he's like, hey, shout out to my spaceys out there. Oh.
The only fans that man has left in the world
Are these guys that are
are these guys.
and who's the big bad in this? It's like a who's the villain of the week?
King Mondo.
King, yeah, right. You
King
said
Mondo
that.
is like the leader of the machine empire,
Well,
but
he's the leader. Is there a monster of the week?
yeah, Mace Face.
That's it. That's
Okay,
it.
so
There he is.
during the the second
We did
Megazord
watch this,
battle,
folks.
yeah, the second Megazord battle of the episode involves the Rangers going up against Mace Face, and something weird happens because like the Rangers, so like all five of them are in like the after they merge, like they're in the cockpit of the Megazord, but then Tommy is just like my own personal Megazord power now, and it shoots and like spins, like does like a corkscrew thing.
Tommy's known for having his own.
He is, yeah, yeah. But he ejects from the main Megazord and goes to his own Zord. But then like the other Rangers are like, Tommy, do you think you can link up with us? And he's like, I'll try. And so like for the second time in the episode, his Megazord like merges with the Zeo Megazord. And they're like, all right, Tommy, you did it.
Yep.
But I'm like,
But you did it earlier, and that's
you
what I mean by
you did it
those things
earlier.
that are cut out and edited.
You did it earlier in the episode, and so
Editing
like why are people acting uh like your Zord linking up with this Zord is like
was like the
some
first time,
some kind of thing that like is taxing or like
or they've never done
might
it before.
not happen, might not be a thing you might not be able to do. It's like why?
There's some editing chopping uh, going on. There's a high monster for no reason. The it starts right in the middle of a battle. There's some
Skull
editing
Skull
shit.
is on meth, like
Like, actually, apparently.
yeah.
Oh, Ryan, they're trying to save David, Tommy's like brother in it, right? And he's like, "You gotta go back for his brother." No, you don't. Stay here. No, you don't understand what it's like to have a brother. I'm going back. And he's like, "No, I do understand." What?
Whoa,
And
bro.
that's and takes off his brother, and that's when he reveals he's the Red Ranger. And it's just funny too because like the camera cuts to David, then cuts back to him, and he just holding the helmet in front of him because it's a prop,
Yep.
right? And then he like lowers it, and it's very obvious there's a cut away from.
There's an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I didn't notice this as a kid, but like watching it as an adult, there's an episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers where Tommy is still the Green Ranger, um, and he's at the command center talking to Zordon, and you can tell the shift when it cuts from like Japanese footage to like footage that they shot in California, because the quality of the Green Ranger costume like comically diminishes, like to the point that like the gold like shield thing that like Tommy has like over his costume
Looks
shifts
like
from.
you got it from a Halloween shop.
Yes, and like to the point that like the front of it, because it's like triangular in shape, the front of it is actually like curling like
Kind
upward.
of. I know. Anybody that grew up watching this knows exactly what Siege is saying right now. Fucking like exactly that stupid little curl. And I remember seeing that as a kid. You said you didn't catch it. You
I
caught it
didn't
as an
catch it as a
adult.
kid.
Nope.
No,
As a kid, I was like the
it's like straight
DiCaprio meme
just
of him
looks
like
like a
pointing at
fucking
the TV.
shitty like Spirit Halloween
And it doesn't
version.
fit, and it's like kind of
Yeah,
ruffled in like the where the joints are, whereas it's like very high production and very um fitted to the
to the
stunt
actor.
person,
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
OG,
yeah.
the Japanese like stunt person. It's yeah, that sudden cut from like high value like production to Spirit of Halloween
Yeah.
is
And like the reason why that happened was because like the Green Ranger takes his helmet off in that scene, so like we need to see Tommy's face, but like the drop in quality from the costume is just like outrageously laughable.
and I get it because like there's extreme very few scenes like that, so you don't want to spend a budget on a huge actual like fitted like costume, but like I don't know, that adds to the charm. The shitty Spirit of Halloween like Green Ranger
The
outfit.
fact that it's like looks like gold like tin foil and that it's actually like curling up at the bottom. It's just
It's a
it's
joy,
so
folks.
it's great. Rest in peace, Jason David
Yeah,
Frank.
rip in
We love
peace.
you.
And you know what? He wasn't in charge of the prop department. Also, he brings it. Before we like wrap things up and we go, we reveal how the episode ends, which may surprise you. Um, um, one of the better actors. Now that I've like watching this from front to end, like pretty fucking solid acting.
Yeah, my favorite actors from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, like the franchise as a whole, are Jason David Frank, Walter Jones, the original Black Power Ranger. Walter Jones is great. I started the next thing, like I knew him as the Black Power Ranger when I was a little kid, but then big fan of the TV show The Shield, which I don't know, maybe we'll cover it on this podcast someday.
Maybe we'll have a let's play of the video game. No.
No, it's bad. Um, Apparently canon with the show though. But anyway, Walter Jones, he popped up in the first couple seasons of The Shield, like 10 years later. And even at the time, I was like, oh, hey, it's Zach, Black Power Ranger.
Really?
Cool. Yeah.
Wow. It's wild.
Yeah, he played
It's random.
Gangbanger, who was also a CI for the strike team on The Shield.
Oh, cool.
Um, so yeah, Jason David Frank, Walter Jones, Amy Jo Johnson, the original Pink Ranger, Patricia Jolly, the Pink Ranger from Power Rangers Turbo. Big fan for various reasons. Also, I found out yesterday that she was the voice and mocap for Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 5. And
You just told me that, and it's like,
I'm like, oh, Cool.
Not so much in the features. Well,
No, character. Jill Valentine looked nothing like Patricia Jolie. Didn't look like her, but she did the voice in the game, and she did all the mocap,
the
which
mocap for it, yeah.
I'm like, hey, that's really cool.
Jill in the remake doesn't even really look like Jill, like OG Jill either.
No.
I and that's fine, but it's just I wonder who she's supposed to look like.
Uh, yeah, there. I remember in video games, I think in the 2000s to like 2010s, there was like this big push in video games for to actually like cast actors as characters and have like video game characters look like actors. Uh, I I feel like we've kind of moved away from that now.
Yeah. Because then it would be like, man, all of these white like protagonists that are finding bandits and looking for treasure are going to look like um uh again, 2 hours of sleep. Voice actor
Norm
that's everyone.
Norman Reedus,
Norman Reedus. Um uh
Nolan North,
Nolan North, thank you.
Troy Baker.
Troy Baker. And here's the thing, you can't have every single Caucasian protagonist look like Troy Baker and Nolan North. You can
Yeah,
have them sound like Troy Baker and Nolan North.
I've so Nolan North I'm a big fan of, but and I've mentioned this before, but Troy Baker also really intelligent. Like I've listened to podcasts of his, like really intelligent, really interesting guy. Has very fascinating insights onto just various things about life. Troy Baker's great. As a voice actor, no, like he's a good voice actor in the sense that he can deliver lines well. But the problem is I always know that it's Troy Baker because he has no range at all.
More so than Nolan North. Yeah.
Yeah, he has no range at all. Like,
And that's the thing, voice acting, he
yeah,
can deliver, like it's very believable, but the
yeah, he's great.
range, yeah.
He's
Well,
great, but he's no Scott McNeil, is what I'm saying. Like,
is anybody?
he's no Scott McNeil in the sense that like he doesn't disappear into a role. Like he's always just Troy Baker acting lines in front
Yeah.
of him.
Powerful voice, but it's Troy Baker's playing himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the Nick Cage of of voice actors.
I was thinking of changing my name on my middle name on Facebook to Vegas in reference to leaving Las
Leaving Las
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah. It's kind of where I'm at in life right now. Anyway, um, Tommy saves his brother. He's like, brother, listen. And his brother is like, brother. And they like lock
And they like
arms.
lock their 24-inch pythons.
And they say in unison, brother. As they flex at the same time.
Brother.
We're doing that that typical thing that we do where we make a thing sound more interesting than it actually is.
They don't actually do that. They just
No.
hug.
uh uh anyway, so the Rangers say like Tommy saves his brother, the Rangers defeat the big baddie. It ends with them getting the Arrowhead back, and Tommy and his brother are dressed as like Ryu and Ken. Like quite, I mentioned this earlier, but quite
I
literally,
didn't even notice that until
one of
you.
them's wearing a red gi and the other's wearing a white gi.
They're Ryu and Ken.
Yeah, this can't have been an accident. Like,
No, given the time that this was. And don't they pull some double dragon bullshit? Did I
well,
imagine, or in my like
well, they're
throes
like,
of
so they
insomnia, did I miss that?
so they have the arrowhead, and they're like, oh, what are we gonna do with this now? And they touch it at the same time, and it quite literally just magically splits into like two
So
amulets.
reverse double dragon.
Yeah.
They have it. Oh, and he goes to pass it to show his brother because they're like, yeah, what are we gonna do with this now? And it goes and
Just perfectly like and magically
magically
splits.
splits, and they're like, whoa.
Whoa.
We'll both wear each half around our necks, and if we're ever separated, I don't know how to make a reverse double dragon reference. Sorry. We'll wear it on our other ear. Actually, that'd be kind of cool.
It won't be
And then
gay, even though it's so big. It won't be gay because it's we already have uh, a hoop in the straight ear,
and also if we
bro.
put like a feather with it, then it'll be like a Native American thing, and we can get away with that, bro. And then they like high five again. No, it's even less interesting. We're doing the thing again.
Yep.
They just go, "Oh, cool. Anyways, thanks for saving me." They don't address why or how it was. It always supposed to do that? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe to keep
It
the
was
power
dumb.
away from bad guys, it was supposed to. We didn't watch the episodes leading to this,
Yeah.
so maybe it was always in two parts, and it's safer in two parts to keep it in two parts because if bad guys ever get a hold of it when it's in when it's whole, they can take over the world or some shit. I don't know.
Also, bro, you're gonna. I'm sorry, bro, but like we got to keep these two halves of the arrowhead apart. So like you're gonna have to go work on sliders now. You can't. We can't have you on the set anymore. It's too dangerous.
You're gonna have to go work on sliders. There's something. There's something we might see in Lasercomb podcast.
Oh, definitely.
Fucking grew up on that shit. Man,
Sliders was the first thing that I was like in my head. I was like, what was airing in 1996? What was airing? It's Sliders was the first thing that popped into my head.
you know the meme that's like, "Oh, mom, I want like this. Like I want this like toy, or I want this. Oh, but we have this at home." And then the meme is like this at home, but we've adopted that to be like a dollar store like version.
Yeah.
And it's all like, "Oh, I want to watch Stargate. We have Stargate at home. Sliders is Stargate at home." It's President's Choice. No name brand, dollar store Stargate.
I'd
It
actually
just is.
I'd probably like Sliders more now than I did when I was a kid, honestly, because like I love like alternate reality shit.
And I also love tiny burgers.
I remember
I loved that show as a kid.
I remember the commercials for Sliders was like it was always like imagine a world where you are as famous as Michael Jordan or like things like that. It was always like imagine a world where blah 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 blah.
Imagine a world where you already exist, but your girlfriend is way hotter. Imagine a world where Imagine a world where your dick is 9 inches long.
This Tuesday night, check out Sliders this Tuesday night at 8 p.m., 5 Central on Fox.
I think I remember Sliders because the same night, later in night, like late night, like at maybe like 9 or 10 p.m. or something, um, Outer Limits
Oh yeah, yeah.
was on
The 90s version of the Outer
on the same
Limits.
channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, not in the 90s, the Outer Limits. Yeah, and I was a fan of that too. But yeah,
People
Sliders was one of those things, just like the Outer Limits, where it was
people
like,
people like to complain about remakes, but listen here folks, remakes aren't new. They've been doing that since the early days of film and television.
"Are you telling me that 1984, 1982, The Thing, it wasn't the original?"
Yes, what is regarded as being one of the greatest horror films of all time
Isn't it? It's
itself
not
was a
even a
remake.
remake. It's a remake of, isn't it like the third? Like
It's a remake of the Thing from Another World
The Thing from Another
from
World.
1950 something.
Right, which is a movie, and the movie is a
It's based on a
screen
short story
adaptation of
called Who Goes There?
the, there we go. We
Yeah.
we got there, yeah. Um so yeah,
Thing
complaining, the
thing
only
that
thing
I
that's
hate.
new about remakes is that people complain about remakes more lately. That's what's new
Yep.
about remakes.
Yep. Uh, Thing that I absolutely hate is like people on social media being like, "Oh, Hollywood's run out of ideas.
Run out of
It's
ideas.
just all remakes and sequels." And it's like, "No, man. Like the first like film remake occurred in like 1919 or something like that. It was a
Or
remake of a movie that came out literally a year earlier."
yeah, and Clive Barker, John Carpenter's The Thing, like you said, was a remake of The Thing from Outer Space, right?
The thing from another world.
The Thing from Another World, and is different enough that it's like whatever, right? Like everything's based on books or is straight up like a remake or is part of like a fandom or whatever. Sometimes, uh, and you know what? Those people ain't complaining about Spider-Man. Fuck you. You're fine with 9 Spider-Man movies, 10 Spider-Man movies in like 20 years, but you guys fucking like will pipe up about remakes. Fuck you. You don't get it both ways.
Yeah.
Like we got like there was Andrew Garfield.
There
The
have been so many.
transition from those Spider-Mans to the new ones was
There,
like a year.
yeah, yeah. Andrew Garfield, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which the movie's kind of a mess, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Um, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out in 2014, and like literally a year later, they announced, "Oh, Tom Holland is going to be the new MCU Spider-Man."
I hadn't even watched all the Andrew Garfield ones at that point, and I'm like, "What's going on? Calm down." And
Spider-Man No
I
Way Home, though, that movie is a delight. I've seen it. So, yeah, we've talked about this before, but like, when you're a kid, like you can rewatch like the same movies and TV shows like over and over and over again. Weirdly enough, Spider-Man No Way Home is a movie that I even in my 30s I can do that with.
it's just
Like I've seen it probably like 10 times now. That movie is a delight. And
there's
I want a world now where we have a fourth Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, a fourth, and then the next year a fourth Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, and a year after that, like a third Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie. Like just and also the
and
animated like Spider-Verse movies. Like
I was
just
just going to
bam
say,
bam bam every year. We
what was that?
exist.
Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, yeah, Into the Spider-Verse.
Fuck, that was good too.
It's really good. We are in a world now where audiences can handle that, I think. Like just give me sequels to like every like iteration of Spider-Man. Like
And you know what? Exactly. Into the Spider-Verse. Fucking was it Nick Cage was like noir
Spider-Man
Spider?
Noir, yeah.
Yeah, like fuck it, all them.
Yeah,
Bring them
bring
all
them
in.
in too. Bring
Bring in
Spider-Ham back.
Spider-Ham.
Peter
Absolutely.
Porker.
Yeah. Fucking bring them all there. And hell, you know what? Bring like OG like Spider-Man with like going from left to right with like skyscrapers.
Take the guy who does the voice of what's his name? Miles Morales, Spider-Verse,
Oh,
Spider-Man. Take that actor and put him into one of the live action movies as that character.
there we go. Oh, so he like he's not animated
Yeah, yeah.
anymore? Okay.
Yeah,
Why
take that
not?
exact same
I don't
actor
know
from
what
the
he
Into
looks
the
like.
Spider-Verse
I'm
movies
gonna
and
look.
just put him as Miles Morales in a live action film too, because why not?
I'm looking up the Shamik Moore.
Sure. I was really hoping he was going to show up in Spider-Man No Way Home, honestly. Spider-Man No Way Hombre, as I like to call it.
No, this guy could do Spider-Man. Decent looking dude, fit.
Yeah.
How old is he? Born 1995, young. Yeah, guy can do Spider-Man. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, he does the voice, so why not?
And also, you just yada yada yada. Spider-Man's like 10 years older, right? Like the Miles Morales like character is supposed to be like a teenager, I think, right?
Right.
The way you get the actor in there is just like time shenanigans. It's been 10 years since Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom, big fucking deal.
What we do is we open up the time portal here, and it splits the space-time continuum, and a voice actor for a digital animation as he's live action now. Forget about it.
I got a guy down at the docks, real good friend of mine, real good fucking guy. He's
Shamik,
you slip him a couple Benjamins, and maybe he leaves a door to another world open.
you slip him some unobtainium that perhaps has fallen off the back of a truck, and you...
Oh God!
Bada bing, bada boom. He opens up a portal for you, and if something comes through that portal, whose fault is it of ours?
He just leaves a doorway open, and walks away. And
Whatever you do with it, that's none of our business.
He's looking the other way. So what comes through the portal, what goes into the portal, it's no concern of mine.
Yeah, that's we're just honest family centered businessmen. Like somehow like there's this like wholesome mob like that's like helping people with the MCU in the back. Like Kingpin's too controlling.
Yeah.
Our own. It's our OC. Do not steal. Wholesome.
Don't be a thieving cunt.
Don't be a thieving cunt. Jeremy's ROC. There we go. Hey, the big boss, Jeremy. People don't let him see him in person.
His friends call him Big J.
Big J, Big Jer. Is that Ranger 64? Big Jer.
Well, it is now. Damn it!
It is now Big Jer.
Shout out to Ranger 64, Jared.
And we got the episode out through our ramblings. There's an Arrowhead, bada bing, bada boom. It's in two pieces now. One of the guys goes to Sliders, and the other guy wears it as an earring. Big fucking deal.
Yeah, that's the episode. So, Cal, I have a question for you.
Go.
You just caught anything. A random episode of Power Rangers Zeo. Would you tune in next week?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Like, this is nowhere near the bar that I need of the bar of approval of quality that I need to continue watching something. And what got me was like the forced drama. Like, oh, my brother's caught. Oh, we need to save my brother. All right, Arrowhead. And I like little things like that. I want to know what's going on with Bulk and Skull.
Yeah. I think
and
Skull needs an intervention.
Yeah, and needs an intervention. Maybe it was the actor himself.
Maybe.
They were like, "What's going on with you, man? We have to film today," and he was just like fucking nuts,
just like tweaking.
I don't know, but damn it, I want to know.
I got this. Okay, just roll the camera.
Is your guy's mouth dry? And maybe we'll find out next week. So yeah, I will. How about yourself? Just on this.
Just based on this episode, probably not. Although I do appreciate the indigenous representation going on, and it's.
I was actually surprised to see that.
Yeah, so was I. Like, especially
and
for
it's
a show
subtle.
from like '96.
It's not like
1996.
like forced or like, like shoehorned in there. Like Tommy's just like looking out over the canyons, like California, Arizona, or wherever they are, and you know, talks to his elder, and he's like, "Hey, got some advice for you." And he's like, "Thanks, man."
Yeah.
He's like, "Careful, that arrowhead's magic. Don't let it fall in bad hands." "Oh yeah, tell your brother to come home." And he's like, "As soon as he's fine. Yeah, I'll tell him to come home."
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. And as a kid, you don't see the importance of representation or any of that, right? But my cousins and I like thought it was cool that he was. I said when we started recording, "Oh, I had never seen any of this." But then as soon as it Tommy was on screen and JDF was like had the outfit but like with the helmet like off and stuff like that, I was like, "No, we caught episodes of this and we
Mm.
watched it together." And I was never diligent in like watching a show from like beginning to
we,
end.
we've talked about that before
Yeah,
because that's one way that like you and I like greatly differ was because like even
very
as a
much.
child like I was very vigilant about things like that,
Yeah,
whereas
anybody
you
listening to this knows that like my excuse was I was a kid who rode bikes. Right? Like I was out there like throwing pine cones at other kids and riding bikes and
yeah, and whereas I'm actually going to go on a bit of a tangent here. I was because of my childhood being the way it was, like I was locked in the house. I was very, very, very sheltered to the point that people have told me it was constituted as abuse. And I'm not throwing shade at like my mother or anything like that because at this point, like it doesn't really matter. But like, so I was extremely sheltered as a child, and for me, like I don't have like a ton of like childhood memories of like family vacations or like things like that. For me, like my happy childhood memories are TV shows and movies that I watched, basically. I've often likened, especially like Star Trek, the original Star Trek movies with the original cast, like the first six Star Trek films. I often liken rewatching them as basically visiting family in a way. Um,
yeah, okay. I get that. Yeah, I've got
s-
memories and years and how old I was associated with certain movies
mm,
too. So I feel that, right? Like the age, what season it was, or in your case, like what like fucking day of the month of what year
yeah.
it was. So yeah, I can get that. I can jive with that.
So for me, like as a child, like media was kind of all I had. So it was a thing that was just very, very, very important to me, and it still is. Um, and that circles back to part of the reason why, like Jason David Frank's untimely death, like hit me really hard. Because like I in a non crazy way, I'm gonna preface this with like it feels
In a
like
non-crazy way.
in a way like it feels like a loved one dying tragically.
Because you have those memories of so and that's why I was like, well, like celebrity worship is one thing, but also being like, like for the kids that grew up with like TV raising them more than their parents.
Yeah.
Um
When it's like
and
when you're a
you got
child and it's
here
like all you have. Like this is all you have.
there you go. I was just going to say like school's shitty, you're bullied, called a lot of things. You have to worry about like leaving school at a certain time to not get and like your one reprisal from your like one kind of like escape your joy of the day is going home and like catching Dragon Ball Z or Power
Yeah.
Rangers or Beast Wars or like whatever it is. Like as a kid, you don't think about like and but obviously they can be depressed. You don't think about those things, but living for like one show or two shows or like and dreading and like fantasizing about not going to school and fantasizing and being like, oh man, I don't graduate until another 6 years. But when you're a kid, that's forever,
Yeah,
right? And every year changes so much that yet, yes, a half hour show that you spend with Monday to Friday is going to influence your life in a huge way.
exactly.
So yeah, I get that. Like maybe 5 years ago, I would have like mocked that kind of thing. Like, oh, like why are people so upset when like this celebrity dies? Geez, get over yourself. But like, no, I get that. Like
Uh,
people had to take joy in something, and if like the only joy that some people had growing up was like food,
mm-hmm.
right? Or if they have negative associations with that, right? Like parents harping them on and eating disorders and like all of these and
Or
bullying
not,
and like
or not having food,
or or not
which
realizing
I.
that eating 3 times a day is actually like was supposed to be normal. Yeah. So it's like let people enjoy Pokemon in their 30s
Yeah.
because like they ran home because school ended at 3:15 and the episode of Pokemon started at 3:30. So I get all of that.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that's a warm send off, warm memory to have.
Yeah. Yeah. To kind of reiterate and like wind the conversation down, Jason David Frank, childhood hero, uh, and he'll be missed. He was
Absolutely.
loved and appreciated by many. He had been working on a film, a Kickstarter film, for the past few years called Legend of the White Dragon. Hopefully that gets released. Um,
Oh, I
I,
didn't
I
realize.
I saw on social. It's kind of a. It's not technically Power Rangers because like that's an IP that other people
I'm
own,
not saying it's Power Rangers.
but it's Electrical Guardians, basically.
What you're saying is there are people that when they use a magical item, they might transform into a certain colorful array of
Of
people,
spandex.
of spandex wearing ninjas,
Yeah.
and they may or may not be able to summon certain mechanical, ro- um, you know, robotic themed. Uh, I'm floundering here.
Called giant
Automobiles.
robots called Zerds.
It's Zerds, yes, or
Ultra Zerds.
Ultra Zerds, Ultra Zorgs,
Yeah, there we
if
go.
you will, Zorgs. And hey, if they happen to combine and like fit together, because we need to fight giant kaiju of
Yep.
nefarious design, I'm just saying, I'm not going to complain.
So this film, Legend of the White Dragon, I saw on social media today actually that apparently filming was completed, and they said that they're going to be making an announcement soon regarding the fate of the film. So it was something that Jason David Frank was very passionate about. Like he spoke at great length of it when I saw him at Fan Expo because he gave a very inspiring presentation. Uh, so hopefully that film sees the light of day
That'd be
sooner
cool.
rather than later. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
and yeah, I don't really know where to go from here, but just yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long episode of Le Laser Comb podcast. Get out of my face. Um, the Laser Comb podcast, but a lot of it was sentimental or heartfelt or joking and stuff like that. And this wasn't really supposed to be a review of
Not really.
yada yada. It's so fucking much of it. We didn't even put it in the right order. Whatever. But it was more of a general talk about how it influenced us clearly, and JDF's roles, and yeah, trip
This
down a
the
tribute.
tribute, yes. The point of this episode has kind of been more of like just me working through my feelings about one of my
How
childhood
dare you
heroes
hold
dying.
us hostage to your to your emotions, you monster. But yeah, and indeed, maybe other people who will listen to this too. Like maybe it'll help hearing us laugh about it and talk about it, and yeah, who
Yeah,
knows?
I had in my head been like yesterday and the day before, I'd been like, oh, this is going to be an episode like where we like I'm not going to joke about things. Like this is going to be like a very like serious like just very serious like tribute to Jason David Frank. But it's like no. Like making the jokes is like part of the process and it's helping.
And indeed, it's not like I don't ever speak on behalf of like anyone else, let alone like dead people or whatever. But like the vibes I got from him is like, he he want other people to be happy or joke and remember him fondly, and enjoy his work, right? So
And something I want to say kind of in closing, and I say this as, and I've mentioned before, like I've have quite a history with suicide and suicide attempts. People love you. Like, doesn't really like anyone listening to this. Like, if you're ever feeling like you just want out or like feel unloved or unworthy or whatever, like you undoubtedly have people in your life who are going to be very upset when you're gone. So,
and is there's there's two sides of that coin. It's like, yeah, you hurt people that are gone or whatever. I've always found that kind of selfish from the person giving telling that to
well, and
somebody struggling with it. I
that's not how
understand
I
their
mean.
intent. Yeah, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. I understand that intent, but the way I take that um is that they want you in their lives.
Yeah.
And like, yes, you'll be hurt and like you'll affect them or whatever, but the way like I interpret that, instead of letting it like bother me, is that like, and because they love you and want you in their life, like try to remember the times, the memories you could make with them, and the times that you
Yeah.
had with them, right? And it doesn't really work for everybody. Like I'm not a freaking therapist or anything like that, so
No.
I appreciate
Neither of us are.
I appreciate your words there, right? But like Siege knows this more than anyone else I know. Like it does pass. Like the light peeks through the clouds, and there will be moments where you can be glad that you stuck around, right? And doesn't like help everybody, but like in
Even if it's something as and me and
I
Cal have
fucking know
talked
what
about
you're
this
gonna
before.
say.
Yeah.
I
Even if it's
Go ahead.
something as simple as like, oh, that video game that's coming out next summer or like that next Marvel movie or something like
It
that.
seems silly, man, but when I was a kid, I was like, oh man, fuck. There's this bridge here, but there's also
But Metal
a
Gear
new
Solid 3 is coming out in November.
uh, Metal Gear Solid's coming out, baby. You know what? Maybe they'll finally finish that Frieza fight with Goku. I, and like even as a kid and all throughout like an adult, and it's like like there's gonna be a Death Stranding too. I'm just I'm just saying. And if that's if
They
that's
got
what it
20
is,
Silent Hill games suddenly coming out in the next couple of
um,
years.
it, Pyramid Head, the portal to Pyramid Head opened up, and he jizzed out like 17 different IPs, and like in one day, and certainly all of them will be good. But especially lately, too. Not to be to piggyback on your sentimentality too. Um, there's a lot of bad going on,
Mm-hmm.
and we touch on it here or there, and we'd make jokes about it and complain about it, but try to like move on. So it's hard for a lot of people. Um, but hey, we're still kicking.
There are, no matter how much despair you're in, and I say this as someone who is in utter despair like 90% of the time, there are reasons to stick around.
There are reasons to stick around.
So, that's, I think, what I'm, is the sentiment that I'm going to close on. Rest in peace, Jason David Frank. We all loved you.
Yeah, he legend says to this day he's fighting kaiju in the great starry night.
He hopped on board the Falcon Zord and is flying it into heaven.
There we go. Yeah, there's a if I could draw, I would make that fan art.
I'd be surprised if someone hasn't at this
You know
point,
what?
honestly.
It, there's I'm gonna go on Twitter and there's gonna be fucking fan art everywhere.
Of him like riding the Falcon Zord into the
Hell
sky.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Internet, you can have that one for free, and we won't call
You're
you thieving
welcome.
cunts.
Not at all.
Anyway, that has been episode 53 of the Lasercomb podcast. Yeah, best way to support the show, go to patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB, where you get lots of cool stuff at the $5 singular $5 tier. Or you can follow me on Twitter while it still exists at Lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. Once again,
While it still exists.
while it still
I like
exists.
how we've completely just kind of like dodged any of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Up until right now, damn it.
Every podcast that I listen to has been talking about like the imminent demise of Twitter.
The fourth time that Twitter has an imminent demise over the last 6 years. This one's definitely the last time.
Whereas I'm kind of just like, yeah, well,
cool story, bro.
If it happens, if it crumbles, well, I'll move on to something else.
It's like that meme that's like, oh no. Anyways,
yeah,
like you could have told me that 4chan wasn't a thing, like it had shut down like 2 years ago, and I would have been like, oh,
probably for the
only
best.
2 years ago, not like 10. Probably for the best.
Yeah. Cal, they can follow you on Twitter. Yes,
I'm at Twitter. If you like the shit posts or like me posting pictures of like plants and like squirrels, because like I disengage from any of that. And zero shit's given. Oh no, I reshare other podcasts and stuff like that too. Yeah, NeoCal, NEO_KAL.
we will be back next time with what was supposed to be the subject of review for this episode, episode 4 of Manimal.
Relic Hunter with, oh no, Manimal.
Yeah, as chosen by our patron Lewis. And until then, I have been Christopher Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal.
Thanks for listening. We will Dragon Zord you next week.
So long, Nero Tangents. And we'll Zord you next week. Neurotangents. Sometimes words just come out. That's what I am. Neurotangent.
Rest in peace, JDF.
Take a trip to another dimension.